Hello, my name is Kwan Xiao. In this video, I will be helping Clovis College Information Systems students complete their graphics design for the web projects. I'll guide you step by step through GIMP as we work on Project 3. Please have the directions either printed out or open on your computer so you can follow along as I go through the steps. In this video, I'll show you how to create animated GIFs using GIMP. You'll learn some basic animation effects and then use your own creativity to make your animated GIFs, featuring one of the logos you created in previous projects. Let's start by opening GIMP and the directions so you can follow along. Okay, and I already have the directions downloaded and open. Right, so the first thing we need to do is create a new document with a dimension of 600 by 600 and make sure the foreground color is black and the background is white. So you can easily do that by clicking the small black and white squares that you see here. Okay. And then to create a new project, you can either use the text menu or the shortcut key of Control N. Go ahead and set the width and height to 600. And just go ahead and hit OK. Go ahead and cross out the first step. So the next thing we want to do is create a new transparent layer. And if it has another name, you want to just call it layer. Now we want to go ahead and select a rectangle tool. You can do that by hitting R on your keyboard. I've already done this previously, but most likely than not, the rounded corners options are not selected. So make sure you select that and then set the radius to 230. You can do that by just typing in the value at the end there. Okay, let's go ahead and just draw a rectangle. Kind of looks like a pill. And then go ahead and adjust the size so the width is 36, the height is 107. Okay. And then we want to fill it with black, which is the foreground color. And you can easily do that by holding Control, comma. Right? And this is a command that is pretty familiar to you guys now. Is deselect and crop to layer. So to deselect, which is another word for select none, is Control Shift A using the keyboard. And then there's no shortcut keys for this, so we do need to go to the layer menu and select crop layer to content. Okay. I got quite a few done here. Now we want to create two guides, placing one on the top and then the other at the bottom. So you do that by hovering over the top where the ruler is, click and drag down until you see a line. Let go at the top of the image and then do it again to bring down a second guide and let go at the bottom of the image. Doesn't have to be exact. There you go. That looks good enough. Oh, I underlined that. I meant to strike it through. Use the Move tool to position the rectangle at the top of the image, and then use the Alignment tool to align the rectangle vertically to the center of the page. So I can hit M on the keyboard, move it to the top, and then hit Q, and then select Vertical Middle. There, there it is. All right, now we're moving to the second part of creating the spinner circle. Oh, I forgot to mention, we're creating a loader spinner, kind of like when you're click on a link, you know how back in the day when you have slow internet, they would have like a loading icon. Or like when you're watching Netflix and you have like poor reception, and you would get a spinner circle. So this is what we're working on. All right. So let's go ahead and duplicate the layer. And then we want to move the copied rectangle to the bottom of the image. So let's go ahead and click M, move it to the bottom until it snaps to the bottom guide, and then hit Q so that we can align it so it's vertically middle. Okay. Takes care of those two steps. Now we want to merge the top layer down so both rectangles are on a single layer, and then remove the two guides. Let's go ahead and merge it down, and then we to remove the guides, hit M, hover your mouse pointer until the line turn red. Click and drag it to the left and let go. And click and drag the other line to the left and let go. Oops. Let me go ahead and strike off this step. Now we want to go ahead and duplicate the combine layer and zoom out to create a large canvas, allowing your mouse to move around the project without accidentally selecting the layers. So let's go ahead and, for me, since I already have a mouse, it's going to be a control um, mouse wheel down. Okay, let me zoom out some more. Yeah, that looks good. For those who don't have a mouse, you're going to have to use the zoom tool. And I believe if you hit the control key, you notice it switches to zoom out. So when you draw a box, it will zoom out. Let me go ahead and illustrate that. Okay, that's too far of a zoom, so I'm going to kind of like zoom back in a little bit, yeah, like that. Anyways, all right, so we got that step done. Now we want to select the Unified Transform tool using the shortcut key of Shift plus T. So Shift T. Oh wait, I don't think I've duplicated it. Let me make sure. Yeah, I need to duplicate this. There we go. Now I can go ahead and do the transformation and duplicate it later. Now, just you need to make sure that when you're rotating the rectangles, you hold the Shift key. That way, you're moving it at a consistent angle of 15 degrees per rotation. So let me go ahead and kind of show you what that looks like. And once again, make sure when you rotate, your cursor is not inside the project, but it's outside in this gray area. So I'm going to hold the Shift key and then drag it. And you notice it snaps. Okay? So I'm going to drag it to the right. So I'm going to go clockwise with my different layers. So you want to go to the right twice and then let go and then hit transform. So we're going to create a basically like a analog dial that you would see with those old-fashioned clocks. So and we're just going to be doing that. And just notice that each layer and each transformation we do, the selection um, the crop to select layer becomes larger and larger. And then you understand why we zoomed out the way we did. Okay, so I did this step. Okay, so now we're going to repeat the process of duplicating and rotating by 30 degrees until a full circle is formed. So we already zoomed out so that we don't accidentally select the project as we rotate. So let's go ahead and start duplicating once more. And then once again, if you're not on a transform tool, is Shift T. Hold the Shift key on your keyboard, click and drag down, and then you can either click on transform and just hit enter on your keyboard. Okay? And then let's go ahead and keep doing this until we have a full dial. The Shift key, transform, duplicate another layer, hold the Shift key, rotate. We got one more, and we should be done. Duplicate, Shift key. So you notice with each layer that we duplicate, the crop to layer becomes bigger and bigger, and it becomes an issue if you're just not zoomed out enough, so that you end up just manipulating the project incorrectly. All right, so let's go and hit transform. And now we have a full circle here. So that takes care of that step. And let's go ahead and merge all the rectangles layer into a single spinner layer. Make sure you do not merge it to the background. So let's just click merge until it all become on top of the layer. Okay. Let's go ahead and crop the layer to content now. Okay. Go ahead and strike those two steps off. And then we can go ahead and delete the original background layer. So looks like I'm still in in the rotate tools, transformation tool. So I'm just going to hit M on the keyboard, and then that would allow me to select without the transformation tool settings popping up. Let me go ahead and hit, I can either hit delete on the keyboard, or actually it's better just to hit, yeah, delete selected layers there. All right, so we're in part 3, preparing the animation layer. So we want to go ahead and turn off the visibility of the spinner layer. So let's do that by clicking on the eye. Create a new layer. And then let's go back to our bottom layer and right click on it. And we want to select alpha to selection. Okay. And then we can go ahead and zoom in. I don't advise using Control Shift J, zoom image to window. It's just a little too close. So just either using the zoom tool or holding the control mouse wheel up. And I think this is a good zoom because it kind of allows you to see the faint outline of the dial that we created there. So on the new layer, we want to go ahead and fill the selection with a light gray color of the HTML value of BD, 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 and then name that layer light gray. So first thing we need to do is change the color. So it's BD, BD, BD. I'll make sure we're on layer 1 before we fill the color. Okay. And then we're going to fill it, control, comma. And let's go ahead and rename it light gray. Okay, let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. And then this time we're gonna change it so it's darker gray. Be 50, 50, 50. Control comma. And then just call it dark gray. Yeah. There we go. It's gonna strike out those steps. And we don't need the original spinner layer anymore. Okay, and then we want to go ahead and so let's go ahead and delete that first. And then we want to go ahead and turn off the visibility of these two layers here. Take care of that. Now we're in part 4, building the animation frames. So let's go ahead and duplicate both the light gray and dark gray layers. So you can do that by holding Shift on your keyboard. That allows you to select both layers, and then right click on it and select duplicate layers from the context menu. Okay? And you notice you have a copy of both the dark and light. And let's go ahead and rearrange it so that the copies are next to each other with the dark on the top. Okay? So for the next step, we want to select the light gray copy layer, make it visible, and choose the eraser tool through Shift E. And then we want to use a brush with a 100 hardness and set its size to 70. The reason why is we want it so that it's big enough so that I can erase the rectangles in a single swipe. Then erase the top rectangle from the spinner. Okay. Oh, let's see here. Oh, one thing I've realized I didn't do is I forgot to deselect the selection. So let me go ahead and do that. Control Shift A. Yeah, that way the animations are not there anymore. Make sure, yeah. All right, now I can do all this stuff. So let's go ahead and do Shift E and make sure your hardness of your brush is this large circle and it says hardness 100. The size, set it to 70. And then we want to go ahead and erase the top rectangle. Okay. Make sure the light gray copy layer is selected and then just click on your mouse or press down on your touchpad and swipe up. And that's what all we're erasing for now. Okay. Let's go ahead and strike that out. Then we want to select the dark gray copy layer, make it visible, And then we want to erase all the other rectangles except for the top one we just erased. So it's almost like scratchers now. Okay. Now make sure when you erase completely because like this is not a good erase. So yeah. And you notice the eraser size is big enough so that it covers the rectangle as you swipe over it. Okay. All right. That's all we need to do for this step. Now when we want to merge the dark gray copy layer down onto the light gray copy layer. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to rename this newly merged layer to 1 and turn off its visibility. So let's just hit 1 on your keyboard, turn off the visibility. So we're going to do this 11 more times for a total of 12 layers. Makes sense, right? Because we have 12 rectangles in the spinner circle. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna do it once more, and then if you still need help on the rest of the other layers, just rewind back and kind of see the steps that I went through. Okay, so let me go ahead and do this one more time. So you once again you hold the Shift key just so that you can select both layers. Right click and select duplicate layers from the context menu. Click and drag so that the light gray is beneath the dark gray copy. Let me go and strike those off. Yeah, so we're just going to be repeating this, moving clockwise. So let's go ahead and turn on the visibility of the light gray. And now we're going to erase this rectangle, the 1 o'clock position. So go ahead and do that. And that's all we're doing. Now we want to select the dark gray copy, turn on the visibility, and then erase the other rectangles. Okay. So I'm just holding down the mouse as I'm moving it over the other rectangles. Okay, and so that's all we're doing for this one. Let's go ahead and merge it down. Let's go ahead and call it 2. Okay, you can just hit enter and then drag it up so that the 2 is on top of the 1. And you'll be doing this for 3, 4, 5, and make sure that you rearrange it so that 4 is on top, or on top of the 3, 5 is on top of the 4, and so forth. Okay, so let me go ahead and kind of show you what that looks like. So we got this. So you can kind of see what we're building towards. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead and show you the completed layers of the complete spinner. All right, so I repeat this process 12 times, as you can see, with the 12th layer on the top. So let me go ahead and strike these off. And once all the frames are created, we can go ahead and delete the light gray and dark gray layers, which I've already done. Okay. And then make sure all your layers are visible like this. Okay. Now we're on part 5. We want to go ahead and export and save this animated GIF project. So first off, we want to go to File and choose Export As. So it's going to go File, Export As, and name your file using your first name, last initial, and project3-gif1, ensuring it has the .gif extension. Okay. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to name it up. Obviously, you're going to use your name for this when you're doing this project. Okay, gif1 dot gif. Okay, and then click export, and that'll bring up the settings menu. So let me go ahead and strike those off. Now in the export settings window, you want to make sure um, if you did this the first time, this won't be selected. So let me go ahead and select that. So we want as animation selected, and make sure loop forever it's also checked. And then we want to have the default value should be 100. If it's not, make sure it's 100. Okay. And then we want to set the frame so that it's 1 frame per layer, frame disposal, because then it allows the GIF to go through each layer creating the animation effect. Okay. Go ahead and strike that off. And then we go and export it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and export it again. So let's go to File, Export As again. And this time we're going to call it GIF2 at the end. Click Export. And this time we want to see what happens when we increase the delay between the frames. And feel free, if you want to, you can experiment further by using a faster delay. Instead of 100, you could do like 50 milliseconds. Let me go ahead and export this. And let me go ahead and kind of show you what that looks like now. Okay. So let me go organize it by type. So let me play the first GIF. Look at that. So here's a nice spinner. So you notice I did not erase that accurately. You notice there's a flickering of some light gray. So make sure when you erase, make sure you erase better than I did. Anyways, let me show you the slower animation. So this is the slower animation. So this is neat. So this is, it is a little bit more tedious in prior projects. It kind of gives you an idea of what the type of work animators have to go through to create, movies like Lilo and Stitch before the live version that just came out. Anyways, so that's that. And then last but not least, you want to go ahead and save your project as a GIMP format. Okay, so go to File, Save As, and then save it using that name there. So using your first name, last initial, project 3, .xcf. Yep. Okay. So there's one more GIF I want you guys to create. For your third animated GIF, I would like you to create a bouncing screensaver similar to the one shown in this YouTube video. Go ahead and bring it up.
And the same thing goes for quarterly reports. They are unreadable. They're just numbers and boring and blech. So what I was thinking is that maybe we should have some sort of graphic, like if we have a bad quarter, put in a storm cloud.
Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that little clip from one of the best sitcom of all time. But anyways, so I'm going to let you guys work independently for this one. I'm using the directions provided. And so good luck, and I look forward to seeing how your animated GIFs turn out.